Coming up next on Tech News Today, Amazon's pilots are striking just in time for holiday shopping season. Also, Google's Chromecast branding gets a little bit more confusing. Facebook wants to be in China, even if it means censoring its own news feed to do it. How Tesla and Solar City are powering the small island of Tau with nothing but solar. And drones are taking all our jobs. They're even cooking all our turkeys. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1648, recorded Wednesday, November 23rd, 2016.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Grasshopper. Stay connected and run your business from your mobile phone with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, visit trygrasshopper.com/twit.
And by Harry's for guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now. And just in time for the holidays, get $5 off the limited edition holiday set at harrys.com and use the code TNT.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is a show where we talk about everything you need to know about technology to look smart at your Thanksgiving Day table. And we are the 1-1 and the 2-3 of tech news, the Fibonacci sequence. Happy Fibonacci, everyone. Fibonacci Day. Happy Fibonacci. The Fibonacci sequence. One,
You can keep
2,
saying
3.
the word. I'm still not going to understand. I feel like I should know this, but I don't. Explain.
The Fibonacci, well, first of all, it's November 23rd.
Okay.
So here in the U.S., we mark that as 11/23, 1, 1, 2, 3.
Got
the
it.
Fibonacci sequence is each two numbers add up to the following number. So 1 becomes 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3, 3 plus 1 equals 4, and it's beautiful, and it's in nature, and it's in flowers, and nature is wonderful.
It looks like that. I know that. All you had to say was it looks like this. If you went like this, the Fibonacci sequence, and then went.
Or if I showed you a flower.
It's kind of like that broccoli that I can't remember the name of. That looks all weird.
Yeah, it's cauliflower, isn't it? Cauliflower.
Or something.
Yeah,
That.
the pretty flower, pretty
Yeah.
cauliflower.
Now none of us can remember the name of this food. That's okay. We are not a food podcast. Dang
There it is.
There we go.
Romanesco cauliflower.
Romanesco. Fibonacci sequence. You're looking at it. That's edible Fibonacci right there.
So there we are. Shall we get to the tech news? Okay.
We should have.
Santa's little helpers are on strike, not the elves, but the pilots who deliver packages for Amazon. Pilots for Amazon.com Incorporated's new in-house transportation network took to the picket line this week over an ongoing labor dispute over increased demand and staffing shortages. ABX Air, which also flies for DHL, says that 26 flights and 1.25 million pounds of cargo is currently grounded. The Wall Street Journal says that as of this morning, pilots are not crossing the picket line. So Amazon does have other carriers. They don't have only their own planes now. They say they're confident in their ability to serve their customers because they work with a variety of carriers. But of course they would say that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
On the eve of Black Friday.
Right. I mean, what a critical time. I guess we still have kind of a month until the actual giving of the presents. They're trying to avoid what happened in 2013, where millions of deliveries ended up happening after Christmas instead of in time for Christmas when they were supposed to take place. So since 2013, Amazon's kind of started to ramp up and build out its own fleet to kind of compete with UPS and FedEx, and this isn't what you want. Amazon makes a lot of money throughout the year, but no doubt, from Black Friday through December, this is their biggest time of year, so they want to be on point for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's an interesting time, right? I mean, with automation and whose jobs are going to be affected by that. And you think about Amazon's drone; they've been trying. The drone delivery service. They've been trying to get that off the ground. Sorry about the pun.
Off the ground. I like it.
For a long time, but I mean, this is and you think about it reminds me of just how like the ongoing dispute between Uber drivers and Uber.
Right.
It's like you have to understand that there are some people. You have to believe that at the top of this, corporation. There's some people that are just like, well, soon your jobs will, we won't have to be dealing with you and your pesky needs for overstaffing complaints or understaffing complaints.
You mean you're complaining that we only gave you a week to double your capacity for our products? Pish posh.
Right. So, I hope everyone still gets their gifts on time, but I hope we also consider that, there are people flying those planes right now and they should they shouldn't have to have this increased demand. We want them to also be sleeping before and after they fly those planes.
Yeah, sleep is overrated. Google's brand identity problems continue, as evidenced by the Chromecast, the company's hugely successful audio and video streaming technology. After nearly 3 years of being one of the most popular streaming devices sold to customers or consumers, Google had renamed the technology branding shown on supported third-party devices like TVs and speakers to be simply Google Cast. That was earlier this year, but now Google has decided to switch it back to Chromecast. Supported devices will now show that the product has, quote, Chromecast built in. This whole thing, maybe it's minor. I think it just kind of speaks to Google's ongoing trouble with marketing itself. It has a really, I think in many ways Google makes great products. They just have a really hard time knowing how to portray that to the consumer. And the strange thing about this is that Chromecast it's their most successful hardware product. It is, hands down. Yet going back and forth doesn't necessarily do it any favors. It's like the app to control it used to be called Chromecast, and then they renamed it a few months back to Google Cast. And then when Home hit, they now renamed that to Google Home. But now the technology is going back to Chromecast. So is that going to go back to Chromecast, or is that going to be Google Home? If it stays Google Home, all of your Chromecast controls are inside the Google Home app. So that's still kind of confusing. It's just there's all these little disconnects, and I don't know how significant they are. I just know that it's annoying that this kind of stuff keeps happening.
And I agree. I never even got used to Google Cast. I sort of vaguely remembered, we were supposed to call it that. But, Google, we complain about Google doing this a lot, but they're not the only company. Apple also, they don't have necessarily the same problem with branding, but they want to be the thing. So it's Apple News. They just want to call it news, or it's Apple TV. Now there's the Apple TV and the Apple TV app, which are different. It's very confusing. So I get Netflix on my Apple TV, but not in my Apple TV app. That probably doesn't make sense to most people. And you think, why are they doing that? Well, because they just want to be the thing. They want to be mail. They want to be messages. They don't want to be, Apple Messages versus Google Messages. That seems to be where they're moving to. It's like Google Home, the Google Home app. You have, if you have a Chromecast, but you don't necessarily have a Google Home, right? And then there's
it's in your home, so therefore it makes sense. But it's still kind of a disconnect, even though because they do have the product called Google Home. And I get what they're saying is these are for all of our home products. Right. But you also have a product called that. I don't know. It just gets
but then they throw
murky.
the things like Allo, which is just out there. And it feels like it's out there too. Who uses that? I don't know.
I don't know. It's a really good question. I should hit up my contacts on Allo and see if they use it.
You should.
See if I get a reply.
Well, the New York Times says that Facebook has built a tool that will allow the company to monitor and suppress posts based on location, and they're doing this in order to get into China. The tool has been a secret, but some Facebook employees have already left the company in protest. That's according to Mike Isaac at the New York Times, his sources. This would be a pragmatic move on Zuckerberg's part, and he obviously wants to get into China at any cost. Now, Zuckerberg and other tech companies are always, of course, looking to find their next billion users, and China has 1.4 billion people in it. So this makes sense to try to get there. But in order to distance themselves from the criticism, Facebook, it seems, has designed the tool for use by third parties, such as perhaps local companies in China. Here's how you can use this to filter. We're not censoring anyone. And then there's a good chance that Facebook will not succeed in China with or without a tool like this. We don't know. They might not do this at all. This was just some sources say this. Lots of companies are creating things that they never intend to use. So I don't know. It's it just asks the question, what is censorship? And I think when you're dealing with a place like China too, which is a capitalist society, but their government, we expect capitalism to go along with democracy, and when it doesn't, a lot of people in the United States are like, what? But that's the way it is in China. And I don't know that Facebook would work there.
Yeah, well, and not to mention China already has a lot of other services that are filling the gaps of Facebook. So this is an ambition that Facebook has to get into this market. Like you say, it might not have very much success because there are already services that are working closely with the Chinese government and are very successful, have hundreds of millions of users. So that would be an uphill battle for Facebook. Zuckerberg has said in some sort of all hands meeting in front of the company, apparently, that he wants to enable conversation in China, even if it's not the full conversation. So there's definitely some interest, some open-mindedness to the idea of altering the content in order to make it in there. But that, as we know, that sort of thing becomes a slippery slope. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the whole, encryption backdoor discussion from earlier this year, where it's like, okay, you open that door in this case, how much wider does it get over time? And, what are the unintended consequences of that? How does that affect things? Especially considering that Facebook is such a monstrous tool used by billions of people. Mm-hmm. What are the potential damage of that?
Right. So what you're saying is like creating a tool that could censor certain content for certain people in certain places. Just creating that for China means that they might eventually use it in the United States or other places.
Well, I don't know. I think what I'm saying is you open the door if that's something that Facebook and Zuckerberg is interested in doing and has not done yet. You open that door. You don't know who's walking through 2, 3, 5 years down the line. You don't know where that ends up. And I just say be cautious because that goes counter to what Facebook has been about thus far.
Does it? Because I think that we're talking about the word censorship, like purposely keeping something from you, but they are purposely keeping things from you now.
Well, I guess with the algorithm it still exists within the service though, and it can still be seen by someone. I guess it's just not being shown to you specifically.
Right.
So I guess it depends on how you define that.
But their tool is already set up to do that. Like you hate puppies, so Facebook will never show you. You don't hate puppies.
Hate puppies.
Okay, you love puppies, so Facebook will never show you pictures of people abusing puppies. So let's say that. Okay.
Yeah,
so they're already doing that, and they're doing it because they think that's what we want. And so, that's what they were doing with the news. Here, you are like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about just a general you out there, you liberal person out there. Like, Facebook knows you only want to see liberal stuff. So they only showed you liberal stuff. They're not censoring the conservative stuff from you, but, what are they doing? Like what? And, they already have a tool that's set up that can keep you from seeing certain things. We saw it with the advertising. That was advertising, whether you're going to see or not see advertising. But they have a tool to exclude certain information from certain people. It's already there.
Yeah. It is interesting that in this case, blocking, real news would be possible, but blocking news that isn't real, that's a real big challenge that we have to figure out and do a lot of thinking around.
Right. But that's the thing that's frustrating to me right now because people are sort of equating like real news versus fake news to conservative news versus liberal news. Like,
right.
There's lots of conservative news that is not fake, but that a lot of people didn't see. It's real journalism, but people didn't see it because because of what Facebook decided that you wanted to see.
Right. Yep. Very true. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration issued voluntary guidelines to Apple, Samsung, and other manufacturers of smartphones to work to include a driver mode into devices that would prevent certain apps from running in an effort to fend off distracted driving. NHTSA is calling for a simplified interface, blocked video playback, and avoidance of things like scrolling or blinking text, distracting imagery, that sort of stuff, as well as banning certain apps like social networks, for example, to run while the car is in motion. Obviously, this is a reaction to a story we talked about, I think it was last week, that the increase in traffic-related deaths after 4 decades of decline, and now it's increasing, and it's all kind of pointing to this whole distracted driving cause.
Right. This is the second phase. The first phase was focused on devices and systems built into the vehicle when the vehicle was manufactured, and this is things built into your cell phone. I am happy to let the government be paternalistic about this. Just like, yes, help us save ourselves from ourselves. Like that's what, I mean, I'm sure people will disagree with me on that. We need to be responsible. We need to know when to use Pokemon Go and when not to use Pokemon Go. But I am happy in this instance for the government to put in regulations that, we can't use certain apps while we're driving.
Well, I mean, the big challenge becomes enforcement of using these sort of things. Like I feel like I've seen it a million times. You're driving, you look over, and you know that the device is in somebody's lap, and like their head is facing forward, their hand is on the steering wheel, but you can just see the little white in their eyes kind of shifting down or whatever, and that's exactly what they're doing. Far off, I have to imagine that's not the easiest thing for police, who are out on patrol to track. It's just not very easy to see that. People are really good at getting around it, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. It's actually very dangerous. NHTSA compares this potential mode. And by the way, it's totally this is a voluntary request. It's not required. Federal government can't force tech companies to do this currently. But NHTSA compares it to something like an airplane mode. So I guess kind of like I think the comparison that I suppose I would make would, at least on Android, would be the Android Auto. That Android Auto is now running on a phone. That creates a simplified interface. But I mean, even we were talking about that, how social networks are building in compatibility so you can get that stream on your Android Auto. And it's like, no, that stream should not hit Android Auto. That's the point. Even though it's in big blocky letters that are easy to read, like I shouldn't be reading my Facebook or my Twitter feed while I'm driving. That's just not safe.
Yeah. And so, I guess the airplane mode comparison also would be, how all the apps that say like, make sure you say are you a passenger? Like you have to say you're a passenger right now.
Right. Because wouldn't it suck if there were like mandatory rules and then every passenger, is, in order to protect everyone from themselves, we have to assume that if you are, traveling at car speeds and on your phone, that you are in fact a driver. Otherwise, how can we enforce this? So nobody gets to use it while you're in a car. That would suck.
You know what would also solve this problem?
What?
Self-driving cars. Let's do that.
Always goes back to that, doesn't it?
Well, security researchers say there's a new way to spy on you through your headphones. A proof of concept code called Speaker can exploit the audio jack retasking function of RealTek codecs. That's a fairly common audio technology that comes with many PC motherboards. An attacker can then swap the headphone jack for the microphone jack, and poof, now your headphones are listening to you. The researchers at Israel's Ben Gurion University say this exploit could be used on people who think they've protected themselves by covering their webcam on their laptop, even go so far as to remove the microphone on your laptop. If you have your headphones plugged in all the time to your laptop, it doesn't matter if you've taken out your microphone or not.
Yeah, because speakers and speakers and microphones are actually very, very similar in how they operate. It's just they work in the opposite direction. Electromagnetic induction is basically what it is. Sound makes a diaphragm vibrate. That generates an electrical signal and sends that signal through. And you can plug a headphone into a mic jack and basically operate it in reverse. Actually, back in the day, I didn't have a microphone for a long period of time, so I used to record music, and anything that I would do vocal-wise was through my headphones, my DJ headphones, and it actually had like a unique sound to it. It wasn't the best sound in the world, but it certainly changed the sound of it. So it's totally possible, very easy to do. What's different about this is that instead of having to physically plug your headphones into the microphone jack, it's changing that routing, like you say, on the inside. So it's hard to even know that it's happened. And so basically, if you have that plugged into the right port, into the headphone port, it's routing that into the microphone processing, and blammo, all of your audio is surveilled upon potentially.
So I like to put things in terms of Mr. Robot. So Mr. Robot comes into and we're chatting, and I've got my laptop here, and he said, and I say, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and then I go to the bathroom and leave him with my laptop, and then he has to do something to it, and then
this is all software. This is all routed through software. So this is something that, as far as I could tell from reading this, it could be done remotely.
Oh.
And that's the kind of challenge.
Okay.
That's the bad thing about this. It could always be done in hardware. This could always be done with hardware if someone knew how to kind of change the routing. That's always been the case. This is something up with the codec itself that's allowing you to reroute what's coming in through the headphones into the microphone channel.
Okay.
So, fun times we live in.
Tesla is running a whole island entirely on solar power. Find out how. But first, let's take a minute to thank Grasshopper, the sponsor of this episode. Grasshopper is a virtual phone system designed for entrepreneurs. Grasshopper works just like a traditional phone system, but requires no hardware purchase or software installation. With their iOS and Android app, callers can reach you wherever you are on your mobile phone. Grasshopper allows you to keep your existing number so you can maintain your brand. When you make a call, your client will see your Grasshopper caller ID instead of your personal phone number. All you have to do is select a toll-free or a local number, then record your custom greeting, add multiple extensions for your business, and you're set. Toll-free numbers are great for marketing. They make your business sound a little more professional. You can set up department and employee extensions with custom call forwarding to any phone in the whole world. Get voicemails emailed to you as audio attachments. You can also send and receive SMS and text messages from your business number. So join over 250,000 Grasshopper customers today. Plans start at just $12 a month, and you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Turn your smartphone into a business line with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, go to trygrasshopper.com/twit. That's trygrasshopper.com/twit. And we thank Grasshopper for their support.
Tesla finalized its acquisition of SolarCity on Monday, earlier this week, and it's not wasting any time showing off the power of their combined efforts. Joining us to talk all about this is Fred Lambert from RealTek. How's it going?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to have you back. So tell us a little bit about the power challenges, first of all, of the American Samoa island of, is it Tau?
Good question. I'm not sure. I think the Tau, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
sense. But the challenge is that it's a remote community. So it's really remote. We're talking about 4,000 miles of the west coast of the U.S. So when you're that remote, you're stuck with diesel. That's pretty much your only option. You power your entire electricity needs with diesel generators, and those are, of course, costly. They can be smelly too. They can be, of course, polluting, and solar beats diesel in every category possible, other than the fact that the sun doesn't shine at night. So the battery portion, that's where Tesla comes in with the power pack. That's what's really enabled the project in the American Samoa.
Yeah, so they've really scaled this in an impressive way. It's not just this, large solar farm, like you say. It's also the power pack, which, I mean, there were an insane amount of solar panels, obviously, to power the entire island. But then you've got this huge farm of power packs. And how many of those exactly? That's all from SolarCity, obviously. But.
Well, the solar panels, you have a 1.4 megawatt capacity, so that's what they can produce of solar capacity. But you have also a 6 megawatt hour of power packs, so that's about the 50 power packs, the Tesla tower that they have for the batteries, and that's enough to cover the energy needs of the island for 3 whole days. So if of course if the sun doesn't shine for 3 days, they can still power the entire island with the power packs. Of course, that never happens, and then the sun's always come up. But if you have a lot of bad days of weather, then you can compensate with the power pack, because it's going to add up, and at one point you're going to need to. Not just for when the sun doesn't shine, but when you have an extended period of time when the bad weather affect the energy capacity of the solar installation, the solar array that we see right now.
How effective is it if there isn't direct sunlight? Like, I know some light is better than no light when it comes to these solar panels. Obviously, direct sunlight is going to throw a lot of power into it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if it's a day with no direct sunlight, you're not getting any sort of power generation. Right?
No,
that still helps.
Exactly. So solar arrays will still, about 80% of them will go through if it's just if it's cloudy outside. Of course, it's a different condition, but mostly that's not that big of a problem. But it's like you can see right now, it's a really beautiful place. It's always sunny, so it's a perfect place to have this installation. And when you live on an island, and those people often rely on fishing for their daily bread. So the ocean is very important to them, and so they're really conscious about the environment and the impact of the diesel. So they were burning 100,000 gallons of diesel a year. So just removing that from the environment, their environment, is very important to them.
For sure.
So these kind of microgrids sound like they would be a great solution for other communities, other remote communities. But the question is, who's going to pay for them? Who paid for this grid?
Well, ultimately, it's going to be the end user that's going to pay for the bulk of it. So we know that the EPA was involved, and the local development community for the American Samoa was also involved in the development of the project, because the upfront cost is, of course, greater than a generator, than a diesel generator. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure how much they were paying for their diesel. But when you have to ship the diesel by boat, I'm sure it's at least the on the West Coast, it's about 240, 280 a gallon for the diesel, but it has to be over $3 for them minimum. So they were still paying about over $300,000 a year just in diesel. So the difference, the project is still an expensive one, since you have a 6 megawatt hour of power pack at $250 per kilowatt hour. That adds up to about $1.5 million. So it's still an expensive project. But there's going to be a return on investment that's guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, we see that a lot. It's the upfront cost that that stops a lot of people. And we see it on people's houses too. I mean, it's just, and it seems like Tesla is trying to get around that with their roofs that they say are cheaper than a regular roof. But yeah, I mean, I wish that it was possible for more people to see forward that eventually the cost would. Although we've had solar panels on our house, and we've yet to actually recoup
someday.
The costs.
There's hope. There's hope that someday that will happen. I'm
right.
sure.
Well, it's like I've recouped the cost in my heart, because I think I'm doing good for the environment.
Well, I mean, that's a really good point too, right? Like, it's not just the cost, the monetary cost of doing this, but it's also the impact on the environment. Burning all of that diesel on a regular basis, removing that from the equation, replacing with something as better for the environment as this. What is the expected lifespan of this type of equipment? I know that, with panels that you put on top of your house, or at least I feel like I've heard people say this, there is a limited lifespan. It's not going to, work 100% of the time forever and ever into perpetuity until the house burns down.
No.
So what do they expect to get out of these?
Well, for the panels, normally it's the warranty is about 20 to 30 years, but it's still a valuable product after that period of time. The efficiency of the panel decrease over time, but it's not like after 20 years they just stop working completely. Some will, of course. There's a rate of breakage, but as for the batteries themselves, that's since it's still in infancy, at least for the lithium-ion to be used as a stationary energy storage device. We don't know exactly how long it will last. For the residential products, so the Powerwall, so Tesla is using the Tesla Power Pack for the large-scale project like this one in the American Samoa. But those ones really have to deal with Tesla exactly. They pretty much end up sending you with the delivered kilowatt hours, so you don't have to worry as much about the lifespan. So they charge you for the energy that they deliver. As for the residential product, the Powerwall, they give you a warranty for that too, and it's 10 years with unlimited cycles. So that means you don't always cycle an entire day, so you can just use a cycle for 14 kilowatt hours. You can maybe last sometimes 2 days depending on your energy use. So it's normally, depending on the price of the electricity you pay, it's still a long return on investment, maybe 8 to 12 years depending on your energy cost.
Okay. And then finally, how does something like this scale to much larger regions? Like we were talking a little bit about this being, this is obviously a great test case. The size of the island, the amount of people, less than 600 residents. So it's not like you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, is it possible to scale this up to be an energy source for a much larger area in the near future?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, when we talk about microgrids, there's definitely a limit. So, like you said, there's about 600. It's serving about 600 people in the American Samoa. But the aspect for larger scale, it's going to, like for the mainland of the U.S., it's going to be used to offset the peaker plant, the plants that are used when in the national grid, when the demand is at the highest, they kick off a special power plant, normally of a coal burning power plant, to make the difference. So those ones you can offset with battery and recharge. But as far as microgrids go, Tesla already has another project that is going online soon in Hawaii on the island of Kauai, if I pronounce it correctly. Mm-hmm. And this one is a much larger one. They're not going 100% microgrid, a solar battery, but we're talking about 60,000 people. So a lot more than the one in the American Samoa. And so we're talking about 500 power packs versus 50 power packs. So it's a much, much bigger project, and it's going to be financially viable. They're talking about delivering the kilowatt hour at about 14 cents solar plus storage. So they produce the energy with the solar panel, they store it in the Tesla power pack, and they deliver it for about 14 cents per kilowatt hour. And the American average is 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's a very that's the American average. With the mainland, you have to assume that Hawaii is much more expensive since it's remote.
For sure. Well, that's super positive outlook, I think, because
yes.
Being responsible about this stuff, cutting down on those emissions as much as possible, replacing it with something like this. I know a lot of us would agree that that's a great idea. So, Fred Lambert, thanks so much for coming on and talking all about this. Tell people where you want them to find your work online.
Yeah, just go to electrek.co. That's our website. We cover the transition to renewable energy and electric transport. So we have also a lot of great stuff about autonomous cars and the new mode of transportation like the Hyperloop.
Excellent. Thanks again, Fred. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Thanks for having me. You too. Bye-bye.
Steve from Flower Mound. That's Flower Mound, Texas, where I have been before.
I love that there's a place called Flower Mound.
I know,
Never heard of it?
Thank you, Steve, because we had a long discussion about Flower Mound and all the pleasant aspects of it. And he sent us this photo of his faux Google Home, which appears to be either a
it looks like it melted.
I think it's either a soap dispenser, hence because it's on a sink, or it's an air freshener because it appears to be in what might be a public bathroom. I'm not sure.
It's an air freshener.
It's gotta be an air freshener.
It's an air freshener. Otherwise, how would the soap come out unless it's squirted up? But Steve, thank you for sending that photo on Twitter. We love your comments. We love your questions. We love your funny photos.
Your memes.
And yeah, keep emailing. We've gotten a lot of thoughtful emails, especially about the last few weeks and how politics comes up. And we appreciate everyone who's emailed.
Yeah.
And we're trying to just be as open as possible. I think most people know how we feel, but we don't want to make anyone feel unwelcome who might have different beliefs than we do. So if you have any issues, email us at tnt@twit.tv. We are listening.
Absolutely, we read everything. Coming up, how to impress your friends this Thanksgiving, or really any meal. Doesn't matter. It's super impressive regardless. But first, let's take a minute to thank Harry's. They are the sponsor of this episode. Harry's is for making holiday shopping just a little bit easier for you, hopefully. Holiday shopping can, of course, be pretty stressful. Finding a thoughtful gift that's always useful and practical isn't always the easiest thing in the world. Maybe you want to find a gift that's going to fit into a stocking. This is a great stocking stuffer. Look no further. Harry's is the perfect gift. If you haven't heard of them before, Harry's was started by two best friends, Jeff and Andy, who were fed up with being overcharged for razors. So they started their own razor company to give people what they deserve, a great shave at a fair price. So this holiday, Harry's is offering a limited edition shaving set. It's got a midnight blue chrome razor handle, which you can get engraved with initials, if you like. 3 of Harry's German-engineered 5-blade cartridges that provide a close, comfortable shave. Foaming shave gel that smells awesome. Use it every day. Beautifully designed gift box so that when they unwrap it, it's going to look awesome when they pull that from under the Christmas tree. Goes for $30 on harrys.com, but as a special offer for fans of this show, we've partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off your order when you visit harrys.com. And then you'll make sure that you want to enter code TNT at checkout. So I've said before, I got a Harry's pack for my dad a few Christmases ago, and then a fill-in pack. And the kind of the cool thing about Harry's is once you give it as a gift, and you get the razors, you can like sign up to get the razors as you need them. So it's kind of always filling itself. So it kind of takes the pain literally out of the process. It's high quality products at a super reasonable price, and it just looks, like I said, looks great under the tree. They also offer handles and sets starting at just $10. If you haven't tried Harry's for yourself, go to harrys.com right now to get $5 off a limited edition holiday shave set while supplies last. And don't forget to enter the code TNT at checkout. Free shipping ends on December 9th. It's right around the corner, so act now. It's going to come faster than you can expect. That's harrys.com. Use the code TNT, and we thank Harry's for their support of Tech News Today. TNT's fan of the day is Jack Burton on Twitter, who says, Tech News Today while driving through the Brazilian countryside. Now we're in Brazil. Up to date everywhere I go. Excellent. Although, I should just point out that episode 1624, I Like Pizza and Cheese, was more than a month ago, so kind of up to date. You've got some listening to do to catch up. That's all I'm saying. Maybe you're stockpiling them. I don't know. But anyways, thanks for sending that in. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we will find it. I promise we won't judge you based on the episode that you're at. We're just happy that you're listening.
Mm-hmm. We like the completionists. Like,
yes,
you could get behind, but you have to catch up.
You got to catch up every single second.
Yes. So in the U.S., it is Thanksgiving tomorrow, and I am all for experimental cooking techniques, especially it involves giant flames and deep fryers. Mm-hmm. So I was pretty excited to find this video from Autel Robotics showing me how to cook my Thanksgiving feast with a drone. So apparently you can use your drone to peel some potatoes. If you're watching, you
wear safety gloves.
Yes, they're chainmail, not just safety gloves, but they're chainmail safety gloves. Make sure to use those. Peel your potatoes. You can cut your carrots, peel your carrots with the blades.
My favorite is when this person uses the blades to dice the carrots, and it pretty much just hacks them to pieces, and they go flying around the room.
They also hook up the turkey to the bottom of the drone and fly it over the deep fat fryer because, I mean, if you've been if you've been on YouTube for the last 4 years, you know this is a thing, the deep fat fryer flames. So use the drone, hang it over, and then if it explodes, you're safe.
I appreciate that they just hovered the drone over. Yeah, there you go. Hacking at the carrots. Hacking at the parsley. It just, pretty much the parsley doesn't go anywhere except everywhere.
Yeah.
And, collecting it. But honestly, the dish at the end looks a little messy.
Yeah.
But I'd totally eat it. It looks pretty good. This is impressive.
The mixer, put the mixers
into mixer.
The quad to each, So you can mash your potatoes with a mixer and your pumpkin filling and your whipped cream and something yellow that I don't know what that is. I guess that's the pumpkin pie filling.
Yeah. Oh, that looks good.
So,
I want it. I want it. I'd eat it.
Oh, and then, this was my favorite, buttering the butter. Add a little brush to one of the
So wait a minute, but I didn't understand that. How is that automated? What is actually moving there?
The thing that you hang the camera.
The camera. Pivoting
adjusts.
the camera is moving the brush. Got it. Okay.
So don't really do this.
Why not? If you do it, record it. Send it in. How I Watch TNT.
So I'm not going to cook my Thanksgiving like that. I'm not going to cook anything. I don't eat turkey. I do mashed potatoes because otherwise, how can you get out all your frustrations?
Yeah.
Except for
mashed potatoes is a good way to get out your frustrations. And it's delicious. But then I'm from Idaho, so I'm partial to potatoes. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW. And you can find us on Twitter. We are at Tech News Today TV.
And a lot of us around here do the end of year shows where we collect all of the best of, and that's hard. So if you if you remember any best of shows, if you have them saved somewhere, I don't know how you would save them, but maybe you favorited them
Some
or
people
something.
do that. They keep little docs.
Well, that's
Like,
good. We should probably have done that, but we didn't. So we need you to. So please visit twit.tv/best of to submit your favorite moment of 2016. Fill out the short form with the show name and the episode number and the time code if you have it. You'll notice that Tech News Today is not on there because we're going to be doing some best of the year sort of new shows.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Looking at topics.
Because we're
and
not
stuff.
lazy producers, except we are lazy producers for our other shows, all about Android and iOS Today. So then we need your best ofs.
I'll just go ahead and shatter the thought that doing a best of is for lazy producers, because it's one of the harder episodes to do. If you're being completion, talking about being a completionist with this sort of stuff, they are not easy. Collecting all those moments, putting them together, it's hard work. So please help us.
Right, and around November is when we always say, like, we should have been doing this all
why
year.
didn't we do this all along? Yep.
Yeah, and subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT and tweet at me all your Thanksgiving mashed potato recipes. I am at Megan Maroney.
I want those too. I'm at Jason Howell on Twitter. Thanks to our technical director. This is where we give thanks to everyone this Thanksgiving. Thanks to Kara, our technical director. Thanks to Brian, sometimes our technical director. Thanks to Burke, always helping out with the words on the screen. Thanks to Kevin for editing. Thanks to Jammer B. Thanks to you and you and you and you and you for talking tech with us today. Thanks to you too, Megan. This has been a lot of fun. We'll see you on Monday. Bye, everybody.